Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Glad to be back here. So, I celebrated my mother's birthday the other day, and she's passed, but it was very touching for me because I really looked at my life with her. Oh, I'm going to get all emotional. And she really was my role model. She was the role model of for my life. And I thank her all the time. So was there, I don't want to get into it too heavy with about my mom, but she just did things her own way. She made sure to commit to whatever she said. And she just brought a lot of the core elements of me I find came from my mother. So I'm just curious, do you guys have any role models?
I do. My dad is my role model, I would say, which is, and he too has passed. But yeah, my dad, I just, grew up just wanting to emulate my dad all the time. He had an incredible work ethic. He was an incredible human being. He had the kind of energy that people just wanted to be with him. It's just like, Pat's in the room, let's go talk to him. Like he was just this wonderful person and so kind and thoughtful. Like he's the kind of guy that would like literally give you the shirt off his back if you said you needed it. Like that's just who he was. And so, yeah, he was my role model. He was somebody that I've always tried to emulate in my life.
It's funny thinking about this. It's actually my mom. My mom has passed also. And I think the reason for that is her strength. Her strength she is probably one of the only people that I know that has survived it. She succumbed to it later on, but she was giving a cancer death sentence of, lung cancer stage 4, and went on to fight for 19 years.
Oh, wow.
And that is phenomenal. But her strength she never used it as a crutch. She went to work every day, even though she would have radiation and chemotherapy. She, and maybe that was a little bit of a fault because she never, took rest times, but it wasn't just that. It was, I always knew that if I had something to discuss with her, I can go discuss it with her. I don't care what it was. And she might not have been happy with it, but she always let me know that she loved me. And then we would discuss the reason why. It was not a disappointment. It was a whatever, that whole aspect of everything. So it was, I think it was, I'm going to say it's my mom. And there's times where when I don't think I have the strength to do something, I think back to her. But my question to you guys is, do you have any role models now that are alive? Because we've all talked about someone who has passed.
That's a good question. Role models. To me, that word role model is, there's characteristics and attributes about other people that I really appreciate and like and think, they're great because of that, but I'm not sure I would take the whole package as role model. So to me, that's what a role model is. It's like, it's got to be the whole package.
It's sacred. It's like, you don't just get to be my role model.
That's the big deal, right? It is a big deal. So yeah, that's a really, there's nobody that jumps to mind when you, with that question, that's for sure.
And I love the way you say that. There are attributes and things about a person that you can admire, but overall, you don't have to agree with it's not that whole package. And I think that's important because I have my mom as a role model, but I love now that I can look at certain people and take certain traits or
Mm.
certain things that they do as part of my inspiration,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I want to be me,
Of course.
but
Yeah.
I like different things from different people. So for myself, part of my admiration, role model, whatever, part of it comes from Amber that was in like 2 or 3
Mm.
episodes ago that ran that 250-mile race.
Right.
Because I know Amber so well, and I know her, she's been in our family for over 20 years. They were high school sweethearts and
Wow.
got married when he went into the Marines. And I know where she was, and I've seen her grow into this person that had the confidence to go out and run a 250-mile race. So there's parts of within of who she is that I admire and try to pull into my life. So I think that's okay. You don't have to have a role model, but I think you have to have people that you are inspired by. I
Mhm.
think that's the word I'm thinking.
Mhm. And I go back to my mom because like I said, she was a role model where I am inspired by other people, but she really showed me, she
Mhm.
grew up in a time when women's lib and all that stuff, and to break out, she was in a, male industry, all that stuff. And it goes back to just core values of you can do anything, you
Yep.
have to work hard. Doesn't mean you can't work smart and all that, but just some core beliefs. And so to me, role models are very sacred. I haven't found another one.
Mm.
I think I have to agree with that.
Yeah. Do you have anybody, Tracy, in your life that you would take inspiration from?
Outside of me?
Yeah. And I love that answer. That's amazing.
Well, I'm surrounded, my family is pretty inspirational. They all have uniqueness about them that I pull inspiration from, but like there's people on the internet and that I get inspired from and things like that. But no, I would say my family though, we've got quite a few creatives in our family, and they do their own thing, and they're improving themselves all the time and things like that. So what about you?
Yeah, you know what? It's so funny because when Michelle was talking, I was thinking that my inspiration comes from my family as well. My husband for sure. There was We laugh because this has been a thing in our family where we would say, "What would Dave do?" Right? Like when we were faced with a tough decision, a tough whatever. It's like, what would Dave do? Especially if Dave wasn't around to ask the question to Dave, what would you do in this situation? Right. It was, that's what we would do. And it was so funny because he was getting an award for something. And this guy said he had a sticky note on his computer with the initials WWDD. What would Dave do? And he said whenever he was faced with a tough decision, that he would look at that and go, okay, let me try and channel Dave.
That's awesome.
I know. So, and yeah, my daughter is, I mean, she's incredible. She's, her soul is just so incredible. She's just so grounded. And yeah, I do. I take inspiration from my family as well.
Yeah.
And it would be really interesting to know how other people, where they get their inspiration from. Do they look outside of their family? Are they looking at actors and actresses, famous sports people? Like, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it would be really interesting to see where their body of inspiration actually comes from.
Because I didn't expect these answers from you.
Yeah, me neither.
I was like, like right away, I was like my mother, but I expected something different from you guys, in that both of you said a parent, and then both of you said that your family inspired you. Like that's, yeah, I'm really curious if, like, I really want to know what inspires other people or role
And
models.
Mhm.
here's my question also. Do you think you need a role model in your life?
I'm going to say yes. And I think you need guidance and you need someone to show you the way, someone to show you a way that you can connect with to help you maneuver life. I think you need a role model wherever you get that role model from.
Yeah. I was just asking the question.
I think it's also important though that because our experience of our role models are all somebody who, it's our parent, basically. That is where we get the guidance from. That's where we learn from.
Right.
And so when somebody is a role model that is outside of that dynamic, where do they get their guidance from? How did they
Right.
get it?
Right. Yeah. I think that's an interesting question.
Mhm.
Where do you get your inspiration and your role model? Like both of them. I think I would love to hear what people think. I
Yeah.
would love to hear, because not everybody is fortunate enough to be able to have a parent as a role model in everyday life. And and some people don't have a role model. They don't probably understand the importance of somebody to help them through guidance and understanding and to look at different things. And a role model to me isn't, they built this really, how do I want to say this? They're like have this glitzy life and all of these, are always off traveling and all of this stuff. Sometimes it's that person's values and morals that help you understand that. And then you're like, that's what built them.
Yeah.
That foundation piece, so they can have all this other stuff. And I think that's where sometimes people get lost because they don't have that foundation.
Mhm.
There's just another piece of clothing going down the stairs. Gonna say that. I don't even know where she got that one. It's probably from my dirty basket.
Lovely.
For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I have a puppy that's 1.5 years old, and she takes clothes out of my laundry basket when she feels ignored. I brings them downstairs. And she turned and gave me a look too as she left.
She wants your attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, role models. But so I think you can be inspired by people. You can have role models. And I would encourage somebody, if you are having somebody, or you think somebody has a trait you want, and you can have a conversation with them to understand them better, have that conversation. I don't think there's always enough conversations. Like, I can honestly say, I don't think my mother knew she was my role model until it was too late. And that saddens me.
Mm.
It's okay to let somebody know that,
Mhm.
because they can continue to guide you.
Yeah.
So on that note, we'd love to hear any questions about role model, inspiration, who you have,
Mhm.
and how they've guided you. I'd love to hear how they've guided you. That I always find that very intriguing. And sometimes they do that one little thing that really helps somebody along the way. Tracy, you talked about kindness and, what WWDD, that's like very impactful. Let us know in the comments. Please make sure that you share this episode. Share it, like it, ask for the notifications, and please subscribe. And if there's anything that you would love for us to talk about, we would love to hear from you. We would love to do an episode on questions that you guys have for us. So write in those questions, write in those comments. If you would love to even talk to us, let us know, and we'll see what we can do. on that note, have a great day.
Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you as a regular member of our community.